Alright, how we doing? Let me just check real quick, make sure we are recording. We are recording, sweet. So, I know it's been a while since I've done a PC build. As you can see, I'm actually catching up on a lot of my uploads right now. So, for this one, I think we're going to do my video editing rig. What I would like to have, I don't currently have, which is kind of upsetting. But we're going to set up, obviously, a Xeon. This is going to be what I want. I'm not going to go, yeah, give me this monster. We're going to get something somewhat reasonable here. So we're looking for a budget. I kind of want to do like $1,000 to $1,200 max. So dual CPU is what I'm looking at, hopefully. If that's even, I don't even know if that would be worthwhile for what we're doing. I guess that really depends on how multi-threaded this is. But I could run multiple. So yeah, we'll do dual CPU. Let's see here. I'm gonna look at maybe about 300 bucks. Yeah, 4 core. Threads are gonna be more important than, or cores is gonna be more important than clock speed here. So I'm looking at the 2609 version 4 currently. It has a very, very low clock speed, but we're looking at a very high core count. Now let me just make sure it has hyper-threading. I mean, I would assume so. My cats are fighting next to me. Does not have hyper-threading, so that's eh. Even with a version 4, no hyper-threading. Wow. Okay. So what are we looking at minimum to get me some hyper-threading? This has hyper-threading. It's 4 cores, right? Yes, 4 cores, so 8 threads with a higher core count or higher clock speed. Yeah, I'd rather go with this over the 1245. So we're looking at 1270. So we're talking 8 threads per, looking at 16 threads with the dual CPU setup. Excuse me. Is there a support for dual CPU option here? Usually the Xeons do, and this is a fairly new one. Hmm. Hello. Thank you. 1270 is what we were looking at. I can find it by price. There we go. 1270 V5. We're looking at 16 threads with 3.6 gigahertz core clock. That looks good to me. And the fuck? My cats are fighting right next to me. Whatever. Cooler isn't going to be terribly important for this. It is going to be running constantly, so I am going to get something, but I'm not looking at getting like a all-in-one cooler or something like that. This is just going to be keeping it nice and cool. You'll go with the Noctua. That works for me. Real quiet. This would honestly work, actually. Jesus Christ. I don't know if you can hear it, but one of my cats just got into something. No idea what it is. Not terribly worried about it, honestly. So yeah, I think we're gonna go this route, the Noctua NH-L9i, just because it's a low profile and I really don't need bundles of cooling. So I think that's what I'll get. Let's see. I'm just looking. No, it doesn't have a dual CPU. option. Well, shoot. And I like ATX because I hate micro ATX building on these small boards that I started out building on and have right now. Ugh, can't deal with it. Let's look here. What do we got? The C232 chipset. That's good. DDR4 memory. Sweet, sweet. Could do Crossfire if we wanted. Why? Alright. So yeah, that looks like... I'm looking at this ASRock right here. Because it's got Gaming OC. Not really important. Actually, let's see. We got a workstation board. Does it allow overclocking, I wonder? Overclocking would definitely help. Ethernet, it's got a 1 gigabit per second Ethernet. Sweet, sweet. 64, yeah. So let's look price on this MSI workstation card. 170 to 135, so another 30 bucks. We're not really gaining much, I wouldn't think. It's a workstation card. Y'all go with this ASRock just because the name states it'll have overclocking potential. I'm really upset that this doesn't have dual CPU capabilities. I mean, it's not needed. I don't absolutely have to have dual CPU. But if that's the case, then I'm going to go for the larger Noctua, the D15, since I'm just going to be running single processor here. Now you don't need a ton of memory for a video editing rig. Like 8 gigs is really all you need. DDR4 2133 is what the motherboard supports. 8 gigs, honestly, all you need. I'm going to get the 16 just so that I'm not being held back in any way. And ECC would be nice. So let's... Can't do ECC. Okay. ECC would be nice, but there's no real point. No, it's not needed. So yeah, I do want to make sure that... I mean, I've watched videos and seen the tests on heat spreaders, and there really isn't much gain. But physics tells me if you have something to pull the heat away, it's always going to help, regardless of how small that gain is. And we're not going to be really pushing this memory hard, so that's not important. It's the smallest cat. He's a little bit over a year old, I think. What is he doing? Okay, so we're looking at an SSD for our working. So I'm gonna do half terabyte, terabyte. How cheap is terabyte running right now? I hate this slider. I wish I could enter. Thank you. How cheap are we looking at for a terabyte? Well, that's not terrible. My digital, that's the only problem, is you have to watch what you're looking at. My digital isn't really a very good brand. Crucial is good, Mushkin's good, or Mushkin, whatever it is. Western Digitals, yeah. Get this freaking Samsung monster. I'm not terribly worried about speed since it is an SSD. He'll get the Mushkin reactor just because I have a half terabyte and I know that it's solid. And then we'll get a 7200 RPM. This will be our backup drive. What we call 6 gig. Good. Seagate. I'm not even going to mess around with Toshiba. I want reliability, so it's definitely Seagate. Okay, and since I would be using Sony Vegas, it is slightly helpful to have a graphics card. It does speed things up a little bit. So I'm gonna see the 750 Ti was kind of my go-to. So let me just check what I can get for a 750 Ti. What are those priced at right about now? About the same as the 1050. So yeah, we're just gonna go with the 1050 unless there's a sorry, ooh, nose got stuffed up. Unless there's a cheaper workstation card. Yeah, no. Now it looks to me like we're looking at 1050 Ti range, which are running not too bad. Yeah, the Zotac's usually fairly decent. Clock isn't too bad on these either. So yeah, we'll just grab this Zotac. It's a mini, itty bitty little guy. I'm running up the price, so we're looking $1,200-ish, yeah. Let's see what I can get. Tesseract, that's what I have right now, actually. And the Tesseract's a solid case, but I want something a little bit better. So we'll scroll down a bit. See if I can't find anything. Cougar's pretty good. Yeah, there's really not much down in this lower end. What do we got for the Cooler Master? It doesn't really matter what this looks like because I'm not going to be doing much with it. I just kind of need something smaller. Like mid-tower would be okay. It's this Rosewell. I always dig the red and black, so I mean, red and black is always solid to me. That looks good, yeah. It's got a decent amount of airflow options. It looks solid to me. We'll open it up in a Newegg. Supports up to 4 fans. Let's pop up the specs, see if fans we're looking at. Front, we've got a 120 mil, rear 120 mil, top 120 mil, and side 120 mil. Okay, that's not terrible. Yeah, I think that's what we're looking at here is this Rosewell Galaxy. Again, this is not supposed to be a real pretty case. Not even supposed to be a pretty build. I mean, I'm not matching it all here. Black and red with those two, with the motherboard and the memory. Then the cooler is brown. The case is blue LEDs. Yeah. Let's look power supply. This doesn't draw much, so we're looking at like a 500 watt power supply. Set the wattage, 500 watt. Now if I do want it to be fairly efficient, so bronze at the bare minimum. I would like something a little bit better. Is there a... Okay, yeah. Let's see gold, platinum, titanium. It's the cheapest gold. We're looking at the Rosewell. But for a little bit extra, we'll get a Corsair that's semi-modular. And another $10, we'll get full modular Rosewell Photon. And I've had no problems with a Rosewell anything, so that's looking pretty good. Let's pop off a gold, platinum. That's not too bad. 75 bucks for fully modular 500 watt or 550 watt platinum. I can dig it. Yeah. That's worth it to me. It's super efficient. And then optical drive, as always, the cheapest whatever you can find. Really does not matter. It had a onboard gigabit, so that's fine. This is going to be a wired thing. I do want... Ow, crack my finger. Oh, they don't have the expansion card I was looking at. I was hoping to get a Thunderbolt 3 expansion card. Darn. Case fans, I need 4 120 mils, so let's grab 4 120 mils. Again, color doesn't really matter. Red and black would be nice, but it doesn't matter. 19 decibels, Kingwin. I don't know anything about Kingwin. It's not a company I'm familiar with. Mass Cool. Cooler Master. Cooler Master is a company I'm familiar with. I know they have quality products. And that's really what it comes down to is it a quality product or not? And Cooler Master works for me. So let's get the name, copy paste into here. We'll do that 2 more times. And I did say I want this to be about $1,200, so we'll look if I can't cut back costs somewhere. Because I also want a UPS. If I'm going to be running this as my workstation rig, I want a UPS. 500 watt UPS. Where's that going to toss me? $500 APC is solid. 260 bucks, that's fine. Alright, so that looks like everything. This is a beefy APS or UPS, holy crap. Alright, we're looking at $1,600. That is over, so we'll see here. See if I can't drop it back. I did splurge a little bit on this Noctua, but I need to drop $400, so I don't think that's gonna get me it. Yeah, the only place that I can really drop down is on the storage. And I don't need 1 terabyte. Thinking about it, that's just what I'm going to have. It's going to be transferred to the 1 terabyte or to the SSD so I can work and then transfer it to storage. So really, I need like 256, probably. 256 gig. SanDisk is solid, so let's look. Yeah, we'll run SanDisk, that's fine. Actually, ADATA is still just fine, so it's cheaper, I'll grab it. That's fine. What's that put us at? 1400. I don't want to drop down too much more on the processor because I do want hyper-threading. Do I really need 6 terabyte? See, this is what happens when you're doing a build like this. You think, do I really need that? We'll do 4. How about that? 4 terabyte. So I do want to have some storage. Oh yeah. Cuts price in half when you drop down to 4 terabyte. Okay. Seagate. That's the only thing I'll buy. Seagate and Western Digital. Okay. That didn't even drop me that much. Seriously? Okay. Yeah. It's a problem. 1400. What did I say? 1000 to 1200? So I wonder if we can drop $200. I can by not running the UPS. Ugh. I really want to run UPS though. It's the problem. Don't need that. I can drop off my power supply. It doesn't have to be platinum. I can drop down the RAM, 8 gig. Like I said, 8 gig. Watching tests done, there wasn't any perceivable difference past 8 gigabytes? Is there ECC memory for 8 gig? There is. 50 bucks. Kingston, solid. And how much am I spending for ECC? Another $10 for ECC? That's fine with me. Yeah, we'll run that. Is there any difference between these two? Absolutely none. It's just double posted. 1386. We're dropping, but alright, like I said, don't really need that beefy of a cooler. So we'll drop down to the other Noctua again. 1339. We're getting down. I can drop motherboard a little bit. Don't have to have that one. That's dropping me 40 bucks. 1284. We're getting there. We're getting there. What am I splurging on? I need to drop about 80 bucks. I want to get close to 1200. So if I can get as close to 1200 as possible. I could probably drop the UPS down to 450 because I don't think it'll ever reach 500 watts with what I have in it. The TDPs are so low, it's just, why bother? So I could probably do about 400 watts, I would think. And that drops me way down. Okay. Yeah, about 400 watts. Okay, so now I got about 50 bucks to play with. I can probably bump back up to my the other motherboard if I want. But I think I'm going to use that money to get better cooler. I've probably said it before, but the motherboard you get nowadays really doesn't make too much of a difference on performance. It mostly impacts, features. And where I'm at right now, this Gigabyte motherboard, same chipset, so we're not losing anything there. Same memory, same max supported memory. It supports Crossfire, which I'm never going to use. Has 1 gigabit Ethernet onboard, USB 3 headers, SATA Express, which I'm never going to use. 6 gig SATA, that's really all I need. Yeah, we're solid. So we're going to call it here. I'll go over the parts list. We have the Xeon E3 1270 version 5. It's a 3.6 gigahertz core clock, quad core with hyperthreading. The Noctua NH-D15. It's a dual fan cooler. Noctua fans are always almost silent, so that's awesome. The Gigabyte GX 150 Plus motherboard. Again, motherboards don't really make much of a difference with performance anymore, just features. So hopefully the WS makes me think workstation, so maybe it'll have some overclocking potential so I could boost up this Xeon a tiny bit. The Kingston Value RAM, 8 gigs of DDR4 2133. It's one stick, unfortunately, even though Xeon has quad channel. I believe this is quad channel. Let me just check real quick. If it even says. It doesn't even say if it's quad channel. Whatever. Okay. It's a ECC RAM, so error code correcting RAM. Not needed, it's just nice with a server or workstation situation. A 256 solid state from ADATA. That's going to be boot drive. It's gonna house my work files as I'm working, so I'll just transfer from my main computer over to this one. I don't know how yet. Maybe I'll move SSDs around. I would prefer to have a Thunderbolt setup because Thunderbolt is fast as hell. But we'll see, we'll see. If I even, I mean, I'm not even actually gonna buy this. These are all hypothetical builds, so I don't know how I would go about it. I'd probably swap SSDs. So that's boot drive and workstation. And this Seagate 4 terabyte, 7200 RPM mechanical drive is just going to be for storage. If I plan to store videos or not, I don't currently, just because there's no point. The Zotac 1050 Ti, it's 4 gig. This is the mini version. I don't need a bunch of performance here. I'm basically going to be using it as a GPU acceleration for when I'm rendering. And in the case, again, not really needed to be something super fancy. I could have gone with a server rack case or rack mount case, but this is supposed to appeal to as many people as possible. The power supply, Roswell 550 80 plus, or 550 watt, 80 plus platinum, fully modular power supply. So, and if we look, we're looking at an estimated, it's not going to be 100% accurate, an estimated 290 watt maximum power draw. I don't know if that factors in graphics card, but these new Pascal architecture, yeah, that would be the way to say it. Pascal architecture cards are very efficient. The 1080 Ti, if it even shows the TDP, I'm pretty sure it's under, yeah, it's under 100 watts. You don't even need a 8-pin power connector for this. It probably has a 6-pin just cuz, but you don't even need any other power connectors. This can be powered straight off shit. Shit. I hope that comes back up. Please? Oh, thank God. Nice job, Anthony. Nice job. Well, I'm not gonna fail now on my cutting out bloopers. Never, never, ever. Oh, that was good. So back to what I was saying. This 1080 can be completely powered off of the PCIe slot from the motherboard. Per spec, they're probably gonna have an 8 or 6-pin at least, just as a precaution, since there was some issue with, is it the Founders Edition RX 480s were drawing too much from the PCIe slot, I think. And optical drive, just the cheapest piece of shit I could find, because I'm not really ever going to use it. It's just kind of there. And then to replace the 4 case fan slots in this Roswell Galaxy, I got 4 120 mil Cooler Master R4s. It's going to be 69 cubic feet per minute CFM. And I think it was 19 dB for these fans. I didn't really care about what they looked like, you know, whatever. Since this is supposed to be a server type thing, a workstation build, it doesn't really matter. And then the APC 400 watt power supply, or UPS, uninterruptible power supply. Grand total of 1196.59. And looking at the graphs here, it's been fairly stable for just about every price. I'm not seeing any dips or a continuous trend. Except in this area here, we see a drop all about the same time, and then they've kind of maintained. So I wouldn't look, and I wouldn't see too much variance with this, but this is what we're looking at. Again, all of these, all my part picker lists will be in the description of every video, so you can get the parts list, pick and choose, edit it however you like. But this has been an interesting one. This is the first time I've made a serious mess up like that. Oh God. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll be getting on track soon again. I should probably explain why I haven't been uploading. It was in the description of the it was a biking video, my Christmas Day ride video, but no one probably reads it. So what happened was our internet provider is Comcast or Xfinity, and with the new streaming that's been around, Netflix, Hulu, You can stream HBO, all these different streaming services. People were buying expensive, fast internet, which in my area it's not really that expensive for fairly decent internet, and just streaming. And then they would cancel their TV. It ended up being way, way cheaper because TV is $150 in my area, while decent internet is about 70. So people were just streaming, so Xfinity put a 1 terabyte data cap on all of their internet plans. Well, for whatever reason, this last month we had hit 900 terabyte or 900 gigs at like the 20th of December. I don't even know how. I I was just watching streaming, funny enough. So I immediately stopped doing anything. I had a bunch of videos I wanted to upload, didn't do any of them. Uh, Xfinity has a separate wireless access point that's on all the time. You can't turn it off. Nothing you do can turn it off. So all of us in the house were connected to that, so we wouldn't go over the 1 terabyte. Since we assume that their wireless access point they force you to have doesn't count towards our monthly data cap. So we were all just using that to stream, and the upload speed was less than a meg, so there was no way in hell I was going to get any videos up. It was just more worth it and easier for me if I stopped doing anything. Got to take a break. I recorded a shit ton of videos and they're just sitting there. I actually have been rendering and editing nonstop since I can't upload. I have a bunch of them sitting in the queue. Got a bunch of them in my to upload folder. So that'll be coming out, and that's why I haven't been uploading anything recently. But it'll be fixed, promise. Got a bunch of shit waiting, and I'm a little stuffed up right now. It's cold. It's been freaking cold for the past month. That's why. But thanks for watching this, and I will see you guys in a little bit.